Moving to a peaceful, rural area was supposed to be a fresh start. No more noisy neighbors, no cramped driveways, and definitely no ridiculous rules dictating what color I could paint my own house. Just peace, quiet, and endless land stretching as far as the eye could see. That was until I learned the hard way that even in the middle of nowhere, HOA Karen will find a way to make your life miserable. The first time I met her, she appeared on my property completely uninvited, a clipboard in hand and a scowl so deep it looked permanently etched onto her face. "This road is for residents only," she snapped, glaring at my truck as I pulled into my own driveway. "You can't just drive on it like it's your personal highway." I raised an eyebrow. "I live here. This is my driveway. My property. My land." Karen's lips thinned into a tight line. "All roads in this community fall under HOA jurisdiction. You need to submit a request for access like everyone else." I let out a short laugh, thinking she had to be joking. This road was built by the previous owner. It's private property. The HOA has nothing to do with it. "That's not what our community guidelines state," she said, tapping her clipboard. "If you don't comply, we'll have to take further action." I waved her off, slamming my truck door behind me. Big mistake. The next morning, I stepped outside and immediately knew something was off. My truck sat in its usual spot, but just a few feet down the road, gleaming metal spikes jutted out from the gravel. I blinked. Maybe I was seeing things? Nope. Karen had installed spike strips on my own driveway. Fuming, I stormed down the road and stopped just short of the twisted metal teeth. These weren't some cheap deterrents either. They were professional-grade tire shredders, the kind law enforcement might use to stop a high-speed chase. My blood boiled. This wasn't just petty HOA nonsense. This was straight-up illegal. I pulled out my phone and took photos from every angle, making sure I had undeniable proof of what she had done. If Karen thought she could get away with this, she had severely underestimated me. Spinning on my heel, I marched straight to her house and hammered on the door. A moment later, she opened it with a smug smile, sipping her coffee like she had all the time in the world. "Can I help you?" she asked sweetly. "Are you out of your mind?" I shouted, pointing back at my driveway. "You put spike strips in front of my house." She took a slow sip of coffee. "Well, I did warn you. It's criminal damage to property. Not to mention completely unsafe. What if an emergency vehicle needed to get through?" I snapped. Karen shrugged. "Rules are rules. If you have an issue, take it up with the HOA board." I clenched my fists, trying not to explode on the spot. "Oh, don't worry. I'll take it up with someone, just not the board." What Karen didn't know, I had a lawyer on speed dial. Before doing anything else, I documented everything. The placement of the strips, the bolts in the ground, even the smug look on Karen's face as she watched me. This wasn't some prank. This was intentional sabotage. Then I made one phone call. "You're kidding me," my lawyer, Matt, said as I sent him the photos. "I wish I was. Can she actually get away with this?" He let out a sharp laugh. "Not a chance. This is property damage, reckless endangerment, and illegal road obstruction. You want me to handle it?" "Absolutely. Make her regret every second of it." The next day, Karen received a very official letter delivered straight to her door, the kind that made it crystal clear this wasn't just an HOA issue. This was a lawsuit waiting to happen. By the time I got home, she was already outside, angrily ripping the strips out of the dirt, grumbling under her breath. But she wasn't done. Oh no. Karen was just getting started. That night, I heard a loud bang outside. Grabbing a flashlight, I stepped onto my porch. My truck was untouched, but as I shined the beam toward my driveway, my stomach dropped. The spike strips were back. But this time, she had reinforced them with concrete. I couldn't believe my eyes. The sheer level of petty dedication was beyond anything I had expected. I snapped more photos, making sure to get every angle, then headed inside and dialed Matt again. "Matt, we have a problem." "What now?" he groaned. She put them back, but worse. There was a long silence before Matt sighed heavily. "All right, we're taking this to court. Get me every single detail. She just made this 10 times worse for herself." I grinned. Karen had just signed her own downfall. The next morning, I found Karen standing at the edge of my property, arms crossed, smug as ever. She wasn't even trying to hide it this time. The concreted spike strips were still there, and she was just waiting for my reaction. I took a deep breath, keeping my cool as I walked toward her. Karen, I don't know what fantasy world you live in, but this is private property. You can't just keep sabotaging my driveway. She smirked. I warned you before. Community rules apply to everyone. The board voted on this. We can't have outsiders cutting through our roads without permission. I shook my head, pulling out my phone. I don't need permission. This is my land. You and your little HOA club have no authority over it. And since you refuse to listen, maybe it's time someone bigger than me gets involved. Karen's smug smile faltered. For the first time, she looked uncertain. Oh, and who exactly do you think is going to stop me? I grinned. You're about to find out. Within the hour, Matt was on site, with a sheriff's deputy. Karen's expression vanished the moment she saw the uniformed officer step out of his vehicle. Excuse me, ma'am, the deputy said, nodding toward the embedded spike strips. We received a complaint about illegal road hazards on private property. Care to explain? Karen stiffened. This is a community road. The HOA has every right to. No, they don't. Matt cut her off, holding up a stack of legal documents. My client owns this land outright, and county property records confirm that this driveway is not under HOA jurisdiction. Karen paled. You can't be serious. I was just. The deputy sighed. Ma'am, you need to remove those strips immediately, or we'll have to escalate this further. She stammered. You can't just. Failure to comply could result in criminal charges, Matt added. You're looking at hefty fines, a lawsuit, and potential arrest. Your call. For the first time ever, Karen was speechless. And as she was forced to dig the spike strips out with her own hands, sweat dripping, neighbors whispering, I stood back, arms crossed, enjoying every second. Karen thought she was untouchable. But now, she was about to learn just how wrong she was. And that was only the beginning.